I would say that it's a great fake out that's going on right now. There have been votes, some big kind of protests that have gone on both in the Senate and in the House. Votes were taken to defund ACORN, but one was on an education bill, one was on a housing bill in the two separate chambers. So unless some miracle occurs, those bills aren't going to match up. We also saw George Stephanopoulos ask the president point blank if he was going to defund ACORN. The president bobbed and weaved. He gave no commitment on signing legislation to defund ACORN. The House last week passed a measure that would defund ACORN through October 31st. It remains to be seen if the Senate today will take a vote that would include defunding ACORN. But again, if they do, if the legislation is identical, ACORN will only be defunded through October 31st. The important thing, too, for your viewers is as of this moment, as we're speaking, ACORN has not had one dime that's been rescinded from them. We've just observed the one-year anniversary of the $700 billion bailout, of which I'm very grateful I voted no on that bailout. Now Secretary Geithner is looking at possibly passing another $35 billion bailout. The letter that I wrote to the Treasury Secretary is to say, if you are going to go forward on another bailout, and I'm not encouraging him to, but if he does, at minimum, would you include language that would specifically defund ACORN? We have not yet gotten a response, and we're hopeful that we will. I've written letters for months now, letters to the Census Bureau asking the Census Bureau to de-link with ACORN as a national partner. We were thrilled that we actually had victory when the Census Bureau announced that they were going to rescind their relationship with ACORN as a national partner. But then I've also written to the Treasury Secretary to do an investigation at the IRS level of ACORN. We were also very happy that the IRS announced that ACORN would not be a partner in the voluntary tax preparation work that ACORN does. And so we think in light of the very bogus advice ACORN was giving people to put your money in a tin can and bury it in your backyard, one way to avoid paying taxes, it looks like that was a prudent move on the part of the Treasury Department. But to think that the Treasury Department, in light of this obvious violation of 501c3 laws and just of tax laws in general, to think they have not yet actually had an investigation or are calling for an investigation or conducting an investigation, it's really, I think, unconscionable on the part of the administration, especially when you consider the close relationship that the president had with ACORN, in that he was an attorney for Project Vote under the ACORN umbrella. You would think the administration would be doing everything they can to fully investigate, and yet we haven't heard from the Secretary of the Attorney General. We haven't heard from him. There's no investigation going on from Judiciary, no investigation going on from Housing and Urban Development, no investigation from the Treasury Secretary. What gives? What gives? If a criminal, obvious enterprise like ACORN year after year can't get investigated, who will? Well, there isn't much of an investigation going on right now of the chairman. I know that John Carter of Texas has been leading an effort to let people know more about the current situation with Chairman Rangel. And as yet, to my knowledge, Speaker Pelosi has yet to pull his chairmanship, nor has she instituted an investigation against Chairman Rangel. Well, that's something that I'm going to continue to look at. I think that all the information needs to be put forward, but it doesn't look good right now for Chairman Rangel. It depends really on the American people and how the American people are going to respond. If they put pressure on their representatives, then I think we will see action. But if the American people take a pass and are apathetic, I'm just here to assure them. My Democratic colleagues, primarily, not all of them, but it's coming from the Democrat side of the aisle, on their own initiative, I think it's highly unlikely that they will defund ACORN. There's probably a reason for that. Many people have asserted that ACORN is functionally the electioneering arm for the Democrat Party. Well, consider that. If you have an organization that's receiving taxpayer funds, committing voter fraud, and involved in these housing scams, and their business is to elect one particular party, the Democrat Party, into office, This scandal stinks to high heaven, and it's begging for investigation. And the American people rightly need to be outraged. I've had an online petition on my website at bachmann.house.gov. We've had tens of thousands of people come sign that petition. We invite more people to do that as well, so we can finally get a true investigation of what's going on with ACORN.